Apola joined the coordinating board staff in 2007 as the finance and performance auditor. She has more than 18 years of internal and external audit experience and accounting experiences. Prior to joining the coordinating board staff, she was a managing auditor at the Texas Youth Commission. She's a graduate of the University of Dhaka in Bangladesh, where she earned both undergraduate and master's degrees in accounting. She's a certified public accountant, a certified fraud examiner, a certified information technology professional, a chartered global management accountant, and a certified internal controls auditor. So I believe you have enough expertise to provide, to help us now that Mark isn't able to join us. And David Mahoney, if you'll raise your hand just a little bit over there. There's David. He's our compliance specialist at the coordinating board. He joined us recently in 2013, but he has 25 years of state government audit experience himself. His work includes 5 years as a manager with the Texas Health and Human Services Office, Commission Office of the Inspector General. He's a graduate of Hardin-Simmons University, and he has a BBA in accounting. So with that, I'm going to leave you with Apola.
Thank you, Mary. Hope you all are doing well. And I promise you that you won't be late for lunch. It's a very short presentation, but feel free to ask any question. Our Director of Internal Audit and Compliance, Mark Pale, he was supposed to present this, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it because he got sick. So I'll do my best. This presentation is on the audit process for public universities in Texas. And this is our org chart. I am part of internal audit and compliance. I'm the internal auditor. You can see that the director of audit and compliance, he functionally reports to the governing board, but administratively to the commissioner. And we have 3 key areas. We have compliance monitoring with 4 specialists, 1 internal auditor, and we have 1 federal subrecipient monitoring specialist. The next slides, SB 215 defined the compliance monitoring function, and it covers 2 major areas. One is the financial aid, such as grants, scholarships, loans and work study, and the other one is formula funding. This SB, which is Senate Bill 215, it required negotiated rulemaking for compliance monitoring and resulted in Texas Administrative Code Rule 1.13. The compliance monitoring function, they follow the professional auditing standard, which is, we call it Yellow Book, which is the government auditing standards, and all of our staff, they are well qualified and well trained to go to the universities and perform auditing. We follow 3 key phases in each of our audit, which are planning, and then field work, and then reporting. In our reporting phase, we include the audit observations if there is any, and then we recommend how to resolve it, and we also note management response. As a part of Internal Auditing Act, public universities are required to publish some information to their internet. Those are such as the approved annual audit plan, and then the agency's annual report. There are some other institutions or agencies, they are involved, like State Auditor's Office. They come and do the financial statement audit to all the state of Texas agencies. We also get audited by federal auditors, such as Department of Education. It depends on the program, and Texas Guaranteed as well. If you probably all know our website, which is www.thecb.state.tx.us. We have our internal audit function posted there. Please, I will encourage you all to go over there and look at our audit process, how all the audit reports that we issued so far. And if anybody wants to report any fraud, there is a link for it. There are some useful links. And if you have any question, you can send email to any of us. We have our contact information there. So please, I will encourage you all to go ahead and take a look at it. It has pretty good information. So I think that's all, unless you have any question.
I have one. I'm not too familiar with the audit process myself. I should know more. How do you decide which institutions to audit? And because you can't go through all of the institutions in 1 year. So how do you do that?
We do it based on an annual risk assessment. What we do, we have a list of all the universities. We categorize them by, say, public universities, private universities, community and technical colleges, and we use some factors to score them. So based on higher risk, we cover, and based on our resources, we cover, say, probably 20 to 26 universities in a given year. The factors we consider, such as the size of the institutions, any audit that institution went through before, any issues we noticed, and then the dollar amount of the grant that we are planning to audit. So there are some factors we considered, we rate them, scored them, and based on the higher risk, we pick the institutions. So it's not like that, okay, we don't like this institution, we are going to go and audit. It's not like that.
And then what kind of stuff do you look at?
Compliance function, they mainly focus on financial aid and formula funding. So say for financial aid, we have Texas Equalization Grant, which is TEG. We have Texas Grant. We have College Work Study. So based on the significance of the fund that the university received, we pick, say, XYZ University for Texas Grant, MNO University for TEG, and some for formula funding. Oh, we have a thorough process. We send to the president, and to say if we go and do the financial aid audit, we first make a phone call and figure out which is the best time for them to go out and do the auditing. And then we send the formal notification letter to the president. The director of internal audit, he personally sent it to the president. And that says who will be there at the site and what time frame and what we are going to cover. And we go from there. But before we go to the site, we talk to you several times to get all the information we need. So we try to do it as efficiently as possible and work with your time.
And then how long do you stay at the institution?
It depends on what we plan to audit, and how quickly we can get our requested information and supporting documentation from the institution. Typically, we finish it within 4 days, including travel time. David, go ahead.
We have two types of work that we perform. A site visit, that usually lasts, as Apollo said, between around 4 to 5 days on a site visit. But we also do a desk review. And in a desk review, we will not come to your site. We will just contact the institution for the necessary information and documentation and perform it at our office. If we can, sometimes some of the colleges have been able to, and universities have been able to set up us a remote link with the institution, and we are able to do the desk review in that way. And so, those two areas of work are what we primarily perform.
So do you normally do the desk review first and then follow up with a site visit, or you do either or?
Every year when we do our risk assessment, we come up with our audit resources, how many staff we have, how many audit hours we have available, and how many audit hours are required for a site visit versus a desk review. And based on that, we determine how many site visits we're going to do, how many desk reviews we're going to do. And we have, the compliance monitoring function is still, although we've been here now since 2013, we're still in our process phase, developing our processes. So we have some goals to eventually have a rotation, and every year we would like to maybe get the large institutions in the state of Texas on a 5-year cycle that we would do a site visit. In between that cycle, 5-year cycle, we might do a desk review instead of going to the large institution. So, that's kind of what we're shooting for. Yes?
After a university does their internal audit, say they recognize that they might have a potential issue, with a said program, how common is it for them to reach out to you all, and inform you of this issue to try to, alleviate it before they're up for an audit test?
Well, I wish it was real common, but it's not. It doesn't happen very often. But it should, and that's exactly the way it should work. Ideally, your internal audit shop finds the issues first. That always looks a whole lot better than if someone from the outside comes in and finds the issue. But we would, if your internal shop finds a problem, then it's best to contact whatever the appropriate, I'm going to say the appropriate audit entity. That could be the SAO, or it could be us, or could be the federal government. Your internal audit shop would have to make that determination.
Another question, do you audit the foundations at the institution?
No. Senate Bill 215 really narrowly defined the compliance monitoring function, and it pretty much defined it as formula funding and financial aid, and that's pretty much it. Senate Bill 215 actually defined the risk factors that we are to consider. There were 7 of them, and Paula mentioned those, so it pretty well defines what we do.
Before I forget something, I would like to add one more thing. When we go out and do an audit to the institution, we just do not audit the institution. We also cover our program area because they are the one who set the rules and some, process and so. So if we see any weakness in there, we also talk to them and resolve it. That way we don't, in future we don't see it in any other institution, or we don't get any complaint from other institutions to see that they are struggling with our rules or processes.
Absolutely. If we're out there and there's something that you see wrong on our side of the fence, we'd definitely like to know that. Yes, sir.
One being internal auditors, I assume, fail to routinely is to audit the governance function, the relationship with the board itself, the relationship with the board and the management or administration. So, do you do that?
No, we do not. We're external in focus, so I'm not looking at the governance of you. Now,
That's a really critical area in bank boards, for example. The governance function is crucial.
And again, it would depend upon the type of audit. When I was with another audit agency, the Office of Inspector General, that was a part of it. And when we discovered issues, I have one that I remember here in Austin, in which the executive director of a nonprofit wound up embezzling a lot of money from a nonprofit institution, fled to Venezuela. Anyway, that was my audit shop that found that, and one of the things that we found was terrible gross negligence on the part of the board of directors. She was able to present false single audits to the board of directors without the auditors. She presented the audit findings every year, instead of the actual auditors. Now, we asked, how in the world could you let the executive director present the audit findings instead of the actual auditors? So there was, and in point of fact, there probably was some serious financial risk on the part of that board in allowing. They did not even do a criminal background check on this executive director before they hired her.
Also, it's a good reason for y'all to do governance audits too. So what would have to change?
The legislation would probably have to
Exactly.
change for us to get involved in that kind of work.
Exactly, as David mentioned, that SB 215 clearly defined the function of compliance monitoring, and they focus only on financial aid and formula funding. So, unless they change it.
Anything?
Any interaction between your office and state auditor's office?
If we were to find any.
We have interaction all the time.
All the time. First of all, we, as part of the, first of all,
Always.
as part of the audit process, we are to review any auditor, any previous or any other audits that have been done on the entity. That would include anything done by the SAO. But if I, as an external auditor, were to find any issues that I considered to be fraud-related, I would have to report that to the state auditor's
So the
office.
state auditor's office is the office with basically the police or
Yes,
the
yes,
enforcement authority.
yes.
You
And,
guys are functional, and you provide information
Yeah.
to them and have a fine.
and just as in, let me refer back to that other audit that I was talking about where my audit shop found the fraud with the executive director. Once we found that, that was turned over to the Taylor County District Attorney's Office. And we essentially became their helpers, I guess is the best way to say it. But they took the lead from there on. Once we found it, we kind of drew out and they took the lead and we provided them with what we found, but we were no longer and that would kind of be the same way with, if we found anything else. The SAO would probably take over.
So was it turned over by you, or did you give it to SAO and SAO turned it over?
In this case, it went directly to the Taylor County District Attorney's Office.
So you just notified the SAO?
Yes, we notified the SAO.
So does the SAO also do any auditing in the financial or?
The SAO can do anything they want to. They can audit anything they want to, whenever they want to. But the reason that Senate Bill 215 was kind of created too, was the SAO, and because of Senate Bill 215, the SAO used to do these types of compliance monitoring audits that we do. But since Senate Bill 215, they've kind of handed that over to the coordinating board and given it to us.
What if, how does your office handle an independent external complaint? Let's say one of your institutions, you receive a letter or email that says, I think this institution, public institution in Texas, is involved in some sort of financial aid fraud or some type of funding fraud. So walk me through that process.
I'll let.
Okay,
that-
so it's a two-way thing. We can get a complaint through SAO, or someone can directly send a complaint to us.
Right, my example comes directly.
Okay, what we do, say hypothetically, it's somebody complained that about TEG, that the institution did such and such and did, they are not supposed to do this, blah, blah, blah. What we do, we follow up with our program. We follow up with the grants office, and we get all the information and history for the students for last 3 to 5 years and see what complaint that the student has, whether it's legitimate or not. We do the verification, we do the inquiry, we follow up with the institution as well. If we see, yeah, there is a problem, then we follow up and try to fix it. If we see that not the complaint is not legitimate, we write a report and send it to the SAO.
Does your office actually conduct the investigation, or do you refer it to the institution and let them conduct it?
We conduct the investigation. If it is anything with the state fund that we are dealing with, if it is something that with federal grant or federal aid involved, then we follow up with Department of Education or someone else to let them take the lead on that. And we let the SAO know that this is beyond our audit scope.
And if SAO got a form of funding or a financial aid complaint, would they investigate or they bring it to you?
They bring it to us. They bring it to us to investigate and give them the result. Any other question?
Lunchtime.
Hey, thank you.